When Song Hye-kyo and Song Joong-ki announced their marriage in 2017, it was more than a wedding. It was the perfect ending to a drama that had captivated millions worldwide. Descendants of the Sun wasn't just a K-drama, it was a cultural phenomenon. Fans adored the on-screen chemistry of Captain Yoo Si-jin and Dr. Kang Mo-yeon, and when that chemistry blossomed into a real relationship, South Korea and much of Asia celebrated it as a dream come true. Their marriage at the Shilla Hotel in Seoul was one of the most talked-about celebrity weddings in Korean history. The guest list was a who's who of K-entertainment, the couple looked radiant, and news outlets worldwide hailed them as the Song couple, destined to last forever. But less than 2 years later, that fairy tale shattered. In June 2019, Song Joong-ki shocked fans by announcing through his lawyer that he had filed for divorce. The split was finalized in July of the same year, leaving fans reeling and fueling endless speculation. At the time, both stars requested privacy. Song Joong-ki expressed that he wished for a clean divorce, without mudslinging, and Song Hye-kyo asked for understanding while citing differences in personality. But in an industry where celebrity relationships are dissected relentlessly, silence only opened the door to rumors. The Chinese media revelation. Years later, in early 2025, Chinese media outlets revived the story with a controversial claim. The root of the Song divorce was not simply personality differences, but rather a deep disagreement about having children. According to these reports, Song Joong-ki had expressed a strong desire to become a father soon after their wedding. He allegedly felt that starting a family was a natural step forward in solidifying their marriage. Song Hye-kyo, however, was said to be hesitant. As one entertainment columnist in Beijing phrased it, Joong-ki wanted to embrace fatherhood quickly, to create stability and a legacy. But Hye-kyo, at that time, prioritized her career and her personal freedom. The mismatch in timing created cracks that widened beyond repair. This narrative struck a nerve because it fit a cultural script familiar to many in East Asia, the tension between traditional expectations of marriage and family and modern values of independence and career ambition. Chinese tabloids went further, speculating that family pressures may have played a role. In traditional Korean society, once married, the expectation of children often looms large. Song Hye-kyo, already in her late 30s at the time of the wedding, may have faced additional scrutiny. Fan reactions, shock, anger, empathy. The resurfacing of this claim reignited debates among fans. Some took Song Joong-ki's side, arguing that his desire for children was natural and that Song Hye-kyo should have been prepared for such discussions before marriage. Others fiercely defended Song Hye-kyo, pointing out that reproductive choices are deeply personal and should never be forced. On Korean online forums, comments reflected this divide. If Joong-ki really wanted kids right away, he should have made sure they were aligned before marrying. It's unfair to blame her. But marriage without shared goals, especially about children, is destined to fail. I feel sorry for him. In China, the story became even more viral, trending on Weibo. Hashtags like #SongSongDivorceTruth and #HyeKyoChoice began circulating, with fans debating whether the report was an honest revelation or an attempt to stir up old gossip for clicks. Interestingly, both actors have flourished post-divorce, but in different ways. Song Joong-ki remarried in 2023 to British actress Katie Louise Saunders, and in June of that year welcomed his first child. The narrative of him as a family man now resonates strongly with his supporters, reinforcing the claim that fatherhood was always central to his life. Song Hye-kyo, on the other hand, staged a remarkable professional comeback. Her performance in The Glory won her critical acclaim and multiple awards, cementing her as one of Korea's most powerful actresses. In interviews, she has spoken about healing, resilience, and focusing on her craft, but she has never directly confirmed or denied the Chinese media's childbearing claim. This silence only deepens the intrigue. Was it truly about children? Or was it something more complex that neither side wishes to reveal? A wider lens, gender, pressure, and privacy. The controversy also exposes deeper cultural conversations. In South Korea, women in their late 30s and 40s face immense societal pressure about marriage and motherhood. For a global star like Song Hye-kyo, These pressures are amplified under the unforgiving lens of fame. Critics argue that the fixation on her reproductive choices is a form of gendered scrutiny rarely applied to male celebrities. Song Joong-ki's narrative of desiring fatherhood is celebrated, while Song Hye-kyo's alleged hesitation is portrayed as selfish or career-obsessed. Yet others argue that in any marriage, differences in family planning are a legitimate deal-breaker, and it's not about gender but about compatibility. The truth may never be fully known. What is clear is that the Song divorce continues to serve as a cultural mirror, reflecting shifting values around love, family, and individual choice in modern Asia. The legacy of the Song couple. Even today, whenever Song Hye-kyo or Song Joong-ki appears in public, the shadow of their past marriage lingers. Fans still edit photos of their wedding, write nostalgic posts about what could have been, and debate who was truly at fault. The Chinese media's claim about children adds another chapter to this saga, one that blurs the line between fact and speculation, truth and gossip. It demonstrates the enduring fascination with their story, a love that felt like a drama but ended in heartbreak. For now, both stars seem determined to move forward. Song Joong-ki is enjoying fatherhood, and Song Hye-kyo is at the peak of her career. Yet the world continues to look back at their short-lived union, trying to piece together the truth. And perhaps that is the ultimate irony. The love story that felt the most real to millions was also the one that became the most mysterious. The announcement of the Song divorce in 2019 was like an earthquake, but the aftershocks never truly ended. What emerged in its wake was a battlefield of fandoms, one that continues to this day. On one side stood the ardent supporters of Song Joong-ki, who believed their beloved actor had been wronged, abandoned, or left unfulfilled in his dream of building a family. On the other were the die-hard fans of Song Hye-kyo, defending her right to prioritize her happiness and autonomy, and pushing back against narratives that painted her as cold or selfish. Social media became the war zone. Threads on Naver, Dom Cafe, and DC Inside in Korea buzzed with heated arguments. In China, Weibo hashtags trended whenever either star made a public appearance, often drawing hundreds of thousands of comments dissecting the divorce all over again. One particularly telling moment came in 2023, after Song Joong-ki announced the birth of his first child. Fans of the actor flooded forums with posts like, "See? This is what he always wanted. He's finally happy now." This proves the rumors about their disagreement on children were true. In contrast, Song Hye-kyo's fans hit back. So because she didn't want a child immediately, she should be condemned forever? That's ridiculous. She's thriving, and that's what matters. Stop defining her life through his lens. The fan wars, though rooted in speculation, became a proxy for broader debates. Tradition versus modernity, male desires versus female independence, personal choice versus societal obligation. The role of media, Korea versus China. While Korean entertainment outlets initially reported the divorce with a degree of restraint, focusing on official statements, avoiding blame, Chinese media has consistently amplified the more sensational angles. The claim that disagreements over children caused the split is a prime example. South Korean journalists rarely make such definitive assertions without official confirmation. But in China, tabloids and social media accounts often blur the line between verified reporting and rumor. Because the Song couple were not just Korean icons, they were Pan-Asian superstars. Descendants of the Sun was immensely popular in China, and the marriage was treated like a fairy tale unfolding across national borders. The breakup, therefore, was more than gossip, it was a Pan-Asian cultural disappointment. Some analysts argue that Chinese media weaponized the story to maximize clicks, knowing that fans were still emotionally invested. Others point out that such reporting reflects deeper cultural anxieties. In China, just as in Korea, women in their 30s and 40s face immense pressure to marry and bear children. By framing the divorce around children, the tabloids tapped into collective insecurities, ensuring virality. The psychological toll. Behind the glamorous headlines and viral debates lies a quieter, darker story, the emotional cost to both Song Hye-kyo and Song Joong-ki. For Song Joong-ki, who has often been described as family-oriented and earnest, The divorce was a shock that played out publicly. He chose to announce it swiftly, without prior discussion with Song Hye-kyo, a decision that some saw as abrupt, even ruthless. Yet, supporters argued it was a way for him to seize control of the narrative before tabloids twisted it further. For Song Hye-kyo, the toll was arguably even heavier. Not only was she subjected to endless scrutiny, but she also became the primary target of malicious rumors, from alleged affairs to supposed vanity. During an interview in 2023, she admitted, "It hurts when my family is dragged into baseless rumors. Ask the people who create them why they do it. I have no answer." Psychologists have noted that celebrity divorces in South Korea often become national spectacles because they collapse the boundary between fantasy and reality. The Song couple embodied hope, romance, and the idea of a perfect destiny. Their breakup forced fans to confront the fragility of those fantasies, and in the process, projected their own disappointments onto the stars. Post-divorce, both stars carved out separate identities, each shaped by the split but defined on their own terms. Song Joong-ki transitioned into a new chapter, embracing fatherhood and global opportunities. His marriage to Katie Louise Saunders expanded his appeal internationally, aligning him with a softer, family man image. Films and dramas continued to pour in, but his personal life overshadowed much of the press coverage. Song Hye-kyo, conversely, doubled down on her career. The Glory was not just another project. It was a reinvention. Her portrayal of Moon Dong-eun, a woman scarred by past trauma seeking revenge, resonated with audiences who saw parallels to her own resilience. The drama's success reframed her as not merely a glamorous beauty, but an actress of formidable depth. Ironically, while the divorce narrative seemed to pit them against one another, their careers now symbolize two contrasting but equally powerful paths: family versus independence, domesticity versus ambition, tradition versus modernity. The cultural mirror. At its core, the children disagreement controversy is more than celebrity gossip. It is a mirror reflecting cultural tensions across Asia. In patriarchal societies where marriage and family are often seen as a woman's ultimate duty, Song Hye-kyo's alleged hesitation struck a raw nerve. Many women saw themselves in her, torn between societal pressure and personal choice. Others criticized her, internalizing the very cultural expectations that have long constrained them. For men, Song Joong-ki's longing for fatherhood resonated as natural and even admirable. Yet critics note that if the roles were reversed, if Song Hye-kyo had wanted children and Joong-ki did not, the narrative might have cast her as desperate or nagging. Thus, the story continues to fuel debates not only about them, but about gender double standards, generational change, and the shifting meaning of marriage in modern Asia. The unfinished story. 6 years after their divorce, the Song saga refuses to fade. The resurfacing of the children disagreement rumor proves that their story still haunts the collective imagination. And maybe that's because it never had closure. Unlike scripted dramas, life offers no neat ending. The official statements were vague, the true reasons undisclosed, the wounds never publicly healed. For fans, that ambiguity is unbearable, and so speculation rushes in to fill the void. But perhaps that is what makes their story so enduring. It is not just about a failed marriage. It is about the impossibility of reconciling fantasy with reality, the struggle of navigating love under the weight of expectation, and the ways culture shapes even the most private of choices. Today, both Song Hye-kyo and Song Joong-ki live separate lives, successful yet inevitably tethered by their shared past. Every award she wins, every public appearance he makes with his child, every whisper in Chinese media about their divorce, all of it pulls the Song couple back into the spotlight. And so, the fairy tale continues, not as a story of eternal love, but as a legend of how even the brightest stars can fracture under the pressures of reality.